For the past couple of weeks, we have been covering Modern Warfare 3. We started out with the reveals, talking about multiplayer, things along those lines, and then we started to dive into the story. And it's hard to pick apart all of this information because they're giving us teasers, not the whole thing. We haven't seen the campaign yet, but one thing that we do know is the antagonist that is coming with Modern Warfare 3. He's one of the title characters, one of the things that they've been promoting, and that is, of course, none other than Vladimir Makarov. And between all of the Modern Warfare games that have been released, and on top of that, the promotional material, we actually know a lot about this character. And that's exactly what this video is going to be. Everything that we know about Vladimir Makarov so far. Some of these things are really obvious. We're also going to dive into his past from the previous trilogy, but some of these things you really got to dig for to find the information. And that is the stuff, the bread and butter of this video, to get you guys prepared and know what we're going into with Makarov moving forward. So that's exactly what we're going to be looking at today. But first, before we do, let me tell you about today's video sponsor. Now, you may have noticed in my last couple of videos that this chair behind me, it has changed, and that is because of today's video sponsor, EWIN Gaming Chairs. And that is what you are looking at here. It features a wider seat and back that allows you more space and more comfortability to sit in, 2D armrest. It holds up to 400 pounds, whereas other chairs only do about 300 pounds. My personal favorite things are, first of all, the pillows really help with your posture, which if you're sitting there for a long time is a really big deal, is going to help out your back. And on top of that, say you've been sitting there for a really long time, you can just do this. Have a little nap. So these chairs are absolutely amazing, and if you want to check them out, you can click the link down in the description. There's a US store there, as well as a Canadian store as well if you're from Canada like me. And on top of that, if you use code Inkslasher at checkout, you're going to save yourself 20% off of your order, which is a super big deal. So check them out down below. Incredibly comfortable. You're going to be seeing it in many more of my videos, and I want to thank EWIN for sponsoring the video. So we're going to first start out with the original Makarov from the OG trilogy. As far as he goes, he was born on October 4th, 1970 into Russia. He was a part of the Soviet Union, and as he grew up, he decided to join the military, eventually becoming a part of the VDV. And if you don't know what that is, it's essentially the Russian Air Force. We're going to come back to that one later, as it's going to play into some things that we know from the current trilogy. Now, after this, as his views became more and more extreme, so did what he became a part of. Starting out becoming a part of the ultra-nationalists and eventually becoming their leader, he was also a part of something called the Inner Circle, which was led by the Four Horsemen. This included none other than Imran Zakhaev, Viktor Zakhaev, Khalid al-Assad, and of course himself, Vladimir Makarov, which of course was taken down in the original trilogy but has yet to be mentioned within the current one. Essentially, that's all you need to know from the original trilogy, but we're going to come back to a couple of these things later on. Now, we were first introduced to Vladimir Makarov in the current trilogy at the end of Modern Warfare 2, and I want you to pay close attention to this part of it because it's really important for everything moving forward.
We don't know his name.
He's not bad.
Who is he?
Makarov.
Now, if you didn't pick up the weird part of this cutscene, it's quite obvious. Kate Laswell didn't know who Makarov was. However, it seemed as though almost all, if not all, of Task Force 141 knew exactly who this character was. Now, the question is, how? There's a couple of reasonings that could potentially be, but this is one of them. At the end of Modern Warfare 2019, we hear this little snippet in another conversation between Captain Price and Kate Laswell.
Zakhaev wants Barkov's throne.
I almost buried him in Pripyat with Macmillan.
That was the father. This is the son, Victor.
So what that told us is that Captain Macmillan and of course the mission in Pripyat, which is all gillied up, also exists within this Modern Warfare trilogy. And if we remember back to what happened during that, we know that Captain Price and Macmillan went in to assassinate Imran Zakhaev. But the person driving the getaway car was none other than Vladimir Makarov, which could be one potential reason why Task Force 141 knows about it. But needless to say, Pripyat happened, and it is most likely that Makarov was there. Remember how I mentioned that in Makarov's original story, he was a part of the VDV, or the Russian Air Force? Well, we know another character who also seems to be a part of that too. None other than Roman Barkov. If you have a look at what he wears, that undershirt that he's wearing is called a Telnyeshka. And what this is something worn by the VDV, or the Russian Airborne. The same thing that we know Vladimir Makarov was also a part of, which could explain how these two characters could potentially know each other. And there's also more evidence of this because Roman Barkov's voice actor actually recently came forward and said he's looking forward to Modern Warfare 3, which would only be something he would say if he was also a part of it. So I think there's going to be a crossover between those two characters in one way or another. Now, Pripyat isn't the only thing connecting the original trilogy with this one. There's also No Russian. This is probably one of the most famous Call of Duty missions of all time, where Vladimir Makarov carries out an attack on Zakhaev International Airport. However, within the new Modern Warfare trilogy, we once again see No Russian return, once again having to do with airplanes, but this time on one, which was introduced in the post-credit scene at the end of Modern Warfare 2. And if you don't know why this happens, the reason why he says No Russian is to avoid speaking Russian, because these attacks are designed to frame America and specifically start World War III. However, it also appears as though this isn't the only attack that Makarov has carried out, because within the trailer, we see something going on none other than Verdansk. We see images and videos of Verdansk Stadium. Patrons running out of the stadium while there are gunshots being fired, very similar to No Russian, but this time on Verdansk. And we don't know whether this is a flashback because, well, Verdansk exploded, or whether this is something new that is going to be happening in the next game. But needless to say, the airplane one isn't the only one. Now, speaking of Verdansk, this brings us to the most confusing part of all. In one of the first trailers put out for Modern Warfare 3, it specifically had to do with Vladimir Makarov and us seeing him in a prison, and Task Force 141, specifically Captain Price, saying that they were going after Makarov and hunting him down, which made me assume they were breaking into a prison to attack him. And that's exactly what we saw within the first gameplay of the Modern Warfare 3 campaign. They told us that Operation 627 is one of the first missions, and basically there are PMCs breaking into a Coney-controlled prison and about to open a door, which we assume Vladimir Makarov is behind. However, the part that I don't understand about this is Makarov works with the Coney Ultranationalists. They wouldn't be holding him within a prison. So why would we expect to see him behind that prison door? The only reason would be is that original trailer where we saw him in prison. So the question is, who is behind that prison door, and has Makarov already escaped? Why was he in prison in the first place? And there are many questions revolving around that. What we do know is he was in a prison. We just don't know if it was this one, and if it's not him, why are PMCs under the control of Kate Laswell going into this prison? It's the biggest question that we have so far. So that is everything that we know of Vladimir Makarov. The one other thing I could add in is, based off of the trailer, it appears as though his tattoos are representative of each new attack that he carries out. And in that first trailer, we see him getting a brand new tattoo within prison. So that could be kind of a hint towards what is to come. But aside from that, that is everything that we know about Makarov so far. I am looking forward to him being added into this Modern Warfare story to see where his story goes moving forward. And if you like Call of Duty Story, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you have notifications on. I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but